Hey, you. Can I tell you a secret? I'm actually from the future, and I've traveled back in time to tell you that these first couple episodes might sound kind of bad. And that's because we were just starting out. So for episodes 1 through 6, the audio quality isn't as good. But don't worry, as most things in life, it gets better. Starting with episode 7, the hottest sports entertainment thing in the world. And once again, this is a reminder from the future. We have social media now on all major social platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if that's your thing. And just wanted to remind you to give us a follow, a like, or even check us out. Now, I'll get out of your way and go back to the future and let you enjoy the episode. Have fun.
Before we get started, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let us explain.
Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer.
When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
And best of all, Anchor is totally free.
Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to episode 2 of Searching for MacGuffin with your host, George,
Gabe,
And Link.
Today's topic, we're continuing with our top 5s, and we are discussing video games. So, let's get right to it.
Yes, all right. So I'm going to start it off once again. And in my top 5 favorite video games, like I said, it's not... These are the games that produce the most joy, that spark the most joy in my heart. And my first one is Stardew Valley. If you've never played it, it's a farm simulating game. It's much more than that. It's a little bit of Animal Crossing. It's a little bit of Minecraft, Harvest Moon. It's just a beautiful amalgamation of so many games, and I love the game. I love it. It's 8-bit, 16-bit. I'm not sure what's the difference there. I think it's 16-bit.
Yeah, it's 16-bit.
Yeah, but I love the game. It's so much fun. In fact, I love the game so much that I bought it like 5 times. I got it when it came out on Steam on my computer, and then I bought it when it came out for the Switch, and I invested like 200 hours on it, and then I saw that it came out for the Xbox. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it, and I wanted George to play it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it for him. So I bought it on Xbox for you as well.
Yeah, thanks to you, we own this game like 5 times, and I haven't started it yet. But like, because we share with the Apple family, and then you got it for me on Xbox. And then I think it was on sale for Switch, and I just went out and got it anyways. I was like, on Switch.
I got it for you on the Switch.
Oh, on the Switch. Oh, okay.
I think you're single-handedly keeping that.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Concerned Ape. I love that guy.
So the reason why I haven't started it is because everybody keeps telling me this is something to play with your girlfriend and wife. So it's like, this is the next game for my wife, but it's like the next game for me and my wife, like forever. So I can't start it alone because I know it's a deep. Also, single and co-op.
You don't need
no, but they're 2 different modes, right?
Yeah, but same thing.
But I'm not like you. I don't need 7,000. I don't have 7,000 hours to commit to this game, so I'm gonna play the co-op. So I'm waiting for.
Then you're never gonna play it.
Yeah, that might be true.
But yeah, I just love that game so much. Like I said, about the computer, Switch, Xbox, and I ended up getting it on the phone.
You bought it for PlayStation, even though you don't own it.
You know, I'm gonna get it for PlayStation to keep on supporting the guy. The cool thing about this game is that it's by one guy. The one guy does everything on the game.
You really are like single-handedly keeping this guy.
The game.
He works for you, basically.
He reads my notes.
You should invest in this company.
Right? But no, I really enjoy that game. So yeah, for me, Stardew Valley. What about you, Gabe?
All right, I'm going to start off on a similar trend how I did the comics, and that's going to be another Batman title.
Wow.
It's going to be Arkham City. The whole Arkham series is fantastic, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Arkham City.
Trying to cheat like me?
Yeah, pretty much. But obviously, specifically Arkham City, just the whole Batman in a video game by a good game studio. And Arkham Asylum, fantastic game. But I think we were talking about this before, how we were kind of limited with Asylum.
Well, what I love about Asylum is that it is so claustrophobic, and it's exactly what you want Arkham Asylum to feel like.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for what it is, but opening up that city, is so much more.
It's a great way to continue it.
Yeah. So the escalation. I mean, I have it on my list as well too. Arkham City, same thing. The Arkham series, I recommend all of them. Even Origins, which never got re-released. I know it was a little buggy, but some of the story, the voice work, the cinematics, and it built a lot on what City was. It didn't really push it forward, and it wasn't Rocksteady, so it wasn't as polished. But just that Arkham series in general was great, and City, I think, is the apex. Night is amazing as well too, and it's next gen, but City, I think, is like the pinnacle. Like, there's nothing like that first dance. And
I agree.
You guys are gonna hate me, but I've never played the Arkham.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
I can't even believe that.
Yeah, I never have. Never got around it.
You definitely need to, and we have the whole trilogy, remastered and everything.
Is it on Game Pass?
I think it was. I'm not sure if it is
on
now.
Game Pass. Yeah, I think
It goes on sale for like $10 the entire series, like all the time. I
So
think
next
it's
time
right
you
now.
want to, next time you want to start your third version of Stardew Valley, you can just start playing the Arkham series.
No, I'm gonna play Stardew Valley like in a year.
Okay, well then that was next on my list. I guess I'll go ahead with my second title.
Mhm.
Then, since I'm always falling behind on the list,
Go ahead.
I'll take point. Burnout Paradise.
Oh, I hate that game.
I love that game.
Why?
You ruined it for me.
You made me love that game. So
Oh.
you're on two sides of the spectrum here.
Okay, so Burnout Paradise, and when I thought about this, I was like, "Is this a Dark Horse thing? Is it just me? Why? How did I even get this game? Why did I have a racing car game? I have some racing car games. I'm not super into them, but the Burnout series, Burnout 3, Takedown, they're just great series of games. But Paradise is open world, and I think this is a theme you're gonna see on my list. Just like Arkham City opened up Batman to an open world, Burnout Paradise gave me a time to beat on every street of the city. It gave me, a record to beat. Every stoplight is another race. It's just do it at your own pace, however you want to do it. And that kind of freedom is something that I really look for in gaming. And that's why I bought in Burnout Paradise like 3 or 4 times. And then I also thought, maybe it's not just me because it's been remastered and re-released a bunch of times. So I guess there's an audience for it. But Burnout Paradise is one of my all-time favorite games.
It ruined Paradise City for me. The song Paradise City by Guns N' Roses.
Well, that is one of the few flaws of it. I don't understand why it has to play it every single time you boot up the game.
You're in paradise, all right?
I guess though, like living in Miami, they're constantly playing that Miami song over and over again, right? That's what life here in Miami is like. No,
I don't know what song
The
you're
Will
talking
Smith one?
yeah, the Will Smith one. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, actually, okay. After the Will Smith song, that did literally happen. They were just constantly playing the Miami.
Oh, yeah.
song.
And the people that are not from Miami, they'll just be like, they'll know, hear you're from Miami,
Yeah.
and then they'll just like start playing it. It's like, hey, this is your song, right? And you're just like, yeah. It's not
So
good.
maybe that's what it is. It was just that real,
Yeah.
experience of Well, Burnout Paradise.
I'm just not a fan of racing games. Period.
Yeah,
So, Forza,
and I understand that.
exception Mario Kart, but
But this game also, it was one of the first games that had like continuous support. Like they had a DLC and like they added cops and robbers. They added like this whole other like stunt island, and they kept updating. And they had like a huge like 3 gig.
They maintain
Yeah, they maintained it, and I think they had the DeLorean, they had the Ecto 1, they had these like epic iconic cars like being re-released, like a version of the Batmobile.
I did love, yeah.
So
I agree.
that was fantastic for me. All right. What's your next? ¿Qué está pasando?
no. So it doesn't.
Cut.
It's an overheating
Edit.
fan.
Oh, got it. Okay. Cut. Edit. All right. So, what's next on your list, Link?
So for me, on my list, I have the Red Dead Redemption series. I couldn't pick between 1 and 2. 2 or 3, I mean.
Yeah, technically.
I forgot. Yeah, I never played
Red Dead
no,
Revolver.
I never played it. So yeah, Red Dead 1 and 2.
Yeah,
sorry.
1 and 2.
I love that series so much. It's one of my favorite. I remember when 2 came out, I played it. All I did was hunt. That's all I did for like the good 2 days
Mm-hmm.
after I got it. Just hunted, and because it was so terrifying going hunting the lions because they were so quick. But I love that game so much, and the story. I love John Marston. He's one of the greatest cowboys of all time, right? And then I don't know how, but you were somehow able to create. Rockstar created Red Dead Redemption 2, added a whole new character, and I loved him as much as John Marston. I love Arthur Morgan. He is so good. And have you guys played Red Dead 2?
Yes.
No.
Oh, so you don't know what happens at the end?
No. So Red Dead it's also on my list, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It might be my favorite game of all time until maybe recently. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But I loved it. When I got Red Dead 2, I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to dedicate the like 200 hours that I dedicated into Red Dead. And I was just like, I don't know, I guess I'm at an age where I played like the first 30, 45 minutes of it. And I was like, is this game going to start though at some point?
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, I'm like basically playing like a super long tutorial / movie.
I just felt like I was in a movie.
Yeah, I felt like the Hateful Eight.
Yeah. So I definitely have been sleeping on it. I have it. It's summer now. I should prioritize it. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for the time sink because I know I'm going to get drawn into it, you know? And I'm gonna, but
and the emotional.
Yeah, and then that too, because like Red Dead 1 wrecked me.
Yeah.
So
get prepared to get wrecked.
So, but yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Red Dead is on my list as well.
So yeah, so I love Red Dead. Cowboy. It's literally a cowboy GTA. So yeah. What about you, Gabe?
Yeah, so for me, next up on my list, it's probably one of the first shooters that I played. That'd be Halo, the original Halo. Actually, well, Combat Evolved is a very special place in my heart. It was probably the biggest PC game that I played at that time, and Halo 2 is up there for this one. Probably one of the first console games I played. And just in between those two games, there was so much fun that I had by myself in Combat Evolved, and then playing with other people in Halo 2. And that continued on in the Halo series after that.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was like an event, like I believe like the gamer that I am today, I really focus on the social aspect, unless it's like a title that like I know that I want to play on my own and things like that. But I've noticed that I really enjoy playing with other people. The social aspect of games, how it brings you together, you share laughs and taking on people, carrying out objectives and things like that. And that's something that grew from Halo, playing multiplayer. And I remember in Halo 3, when Halo 3 released, I remember we went to, George and a couple of other members of our family, we went to GameStop for the midnight release. And it was a school night for me. And I was about probably in middle school at that age. And so, yeah, middle school, playing Halo.
Yeah.
And so we went to GameStop, we waited till midnight, we picked up the copy, and then we went back. And once we got back home, the house that we went to, it was packed. Like, there were so many people there just to watch people play this game.
Yeah.
People play Halo, and I think that was one of the Halos that you could play co-op. The story, the campaign was fully co-op playable. And so I got to play maybe one or two levels.
I miss a lot from a lot of modern games.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I remember playing the co-op, and I got to play like one or two levels, and then my dad pulls me away. He's just like, "Hey, like, it's time to go to sleep. You got school in the morning." And I was so disappointed. Like, I mean, I was in middle school, and I was like playing. Like, I was pretty good at the game. So having everyone like kind of watching me play, kind of like cheering me on and stuff like that, I felt special. Like, it made me feel special. And then for my dad to just rip that away, it sucked, but. After that, I ended up going back to the game and getting to the final level and the final cutscene. I remember that there was like, you have to like cross this bridge, right? And so when you're crossing that bridge, me and my other uncle Jonathan, who I was playing with at the time, we both ended up getting like hit by one of those like gravity hammers, and it threw us both on each side of the bridge. And the respawn, when you died, you respawn. When we respawned, it was us falling constantly, over and over over again. And I lost it. I tossed the controller on the couch and I walked out. And
so you never beat it?
I beat it eventually, like later on when I had cooled down, just because I was so frustrated with that. But yeah, Halo for me is it's got to be up there. It's kind of like a defining game for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super into shooters, but Halo almost made my top 5 because of that social aspect. Like I had a colleague of mine tell me the other day, when you guys were younger, I remember taking my younger brother over to your house, and there was just multiple TVs and projectors set up. There was 16 of you guys, guys and girls just connected on Xboxes. And I think at that time you connected them with LAN cables, right? Yeah, so it was basically a LAN party on Xboxes playing Halo, Halo 2, I believe, right? Yeah. Halo 2 and 3. And it was like, and I was like, these guys are crazy. What is this? What kind of a birthday party or what kind of a weekend, is this? And then they're like, and now my kids, this is all they do. They're like, oh, what do you want to do for a birthday? I want a LAN party. I want multiple screens. I want my friends to come over and we play games. And it was like, wow, that cultural shift where it's like the norm now. But it was, I'm thinking, wow, we went through a lot of trouble because it was a lot of trouble to hook up that many people. Yeah. Pre-internet, basically, right? Because
everyone was basically like an IT expert at that point, trying to figure out if you had connection issues. You were just like, I have a degree in computer science.
And that party aspect, again, I think it also defines me as well because it goes into my next title, which is Rock Band, the Rock Band series, particularly Rock Band 2, and then Rock Band 3 as well when they added keys and harmonies. I remember just Rock Band nights at my house. This was a serious thing. I know Guitar Hero was like a big craze, and I loved Guitar Hero 1 and 2. But when Harmonix left and created Rock Band and took it in a completely different direction, I was all in. I was like, I bought the $200 box. I had the drums. I had 3 mics. Before they even added harmonies in 3, I had a splitter so that 2 mics would input and you could sing simultaneously. I mean, to this day, my closet's full of musical equipment, like a mic stand, splitters, audio outputs, legacy adapters. And people are like, oh, do you record music? No, I play Rock Band. That's what I do. And it's been a while since I've had one of those for obvious reasons, but just the DLC too. Like I would just buy, that was one of the games where I got really into buying DLC and just like, making purchases, not just for me, but for other people. It's like, what are people going to like when they come over, Yeah.
So you went from like a IT specialist to like a band manager.
Yeah. I was like an event organizer too. And I was like, everybody had their roles. I'm like, all right, no, these people are going to be singers. Yeah. These people are going to be singers. These people are going to be guitarists. I had like a squad of drummers.
We got the venue booked. We're all set. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Sometimes I think one time we even set up 2 different setups and had like competing. We would be playing the same song.
Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, Battle of the Bands. So it got pretty crazy at some point.
Definitely, I remember those nights, those events, those concerts that we had. Those are so much fun because that was another aspect where it's like at that point in time, like I mentioned earlier, I was super into shooters. I was into Halo, playing all those games, and here comes this game where it's like you're playing music, and it actually defined a lot of my music taste because I was pretty young at that age. Like it defined a lot of my music taste moving forward to the point where I have a Rock Band playlist on my Spotify.
Right, me too on Spotify. Yeah,
like the music, I can remember for certain songs, I can remember like playing that with family members and friends, and just the experience that it brought to us. Like that was so much fun. And even, I mean, it doesn't really get a lot of talk, but like even DJ Hero 2, like that was pretty fun for what it was. Like it was just going from Rock Band to DJ Hero, obviously not as big, but that was still something that was entertaining.
That's true. That music genre, like I remember, like I had friends who were really big into karaoke. I got Lips, like, and that was Xbox's thing. They had way better mics, Yeah, that a lot of those musical that boom in the music genre. It was fun.
Solid choice. Solid choice.
All right.
Next on my list, I have Animal Crossing, specifically the one for the GameCube. I think that's a game that got me really into gaming. Because I used to play games, right? But not to this amount, like not to this extent.
It wasn't a commitment.
It wasn't a commitment. Like I would my life would revolve around Animal Crossing. Like Saturday nights, I gotta be home because KK Slider's gonna pop up and I need to get that new song. And just the amount of hours I spent in Animal Crossing, and then when Wild World came out for the DS, I spent a lot of hours there as well. And then City Folk, I didn't play that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was for Wii?
That was for the Wii, yeah. I enjoyed it. I actually didn't play it as much.
Do you think it was because of the platform?
I think maybe because I got tired of playing a lot of Animal Crossing.
Really?
Yeah, so I took a break and then went back into it a new league.
Close to the
Animal Crossing Burnout.
Yeah. Yes. And then, this one, New Horizons came out and I loved it as well. But yeah, to me, my favorite one is Animal Crossing, the one for the GameCube, because it didn't get boring for me. Like, I could play Animal Crossing for a while, but now it's like, all right, what am I supposed to do now? You get me?
Yeah.
Because now when you can keep on doing favors after favors after favors until you can build up your inventory and money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, you don't do favors.
Yeah.
So it's something to do with
it's
the game.
Kind of caps.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I did it. Like, I can borrow 2 hours a day. All right, I'm done.
Right.
Whereas with the other one, I could spend 6 hours and like I can still do
You
more.
basically keep grinding.
Yes. So Animal Crossing is special in my heart. I love it.
I mean, that was an all-time favorite. My love of Animal Crossing faded throughout the years because I spent so many hours on the GameCube one. I had multiple memory cards so that I could have different towns. I had a best friend, which was me on the other island, who would visit to help myself on the other island. And then my whole family was in it. My sister, my brother, they had their own, their own island, and it was wow. We didn't have game time counters, so it was probably like 1,000 hours or something like that, because it was literally like over a year of just Animal Crossing. Like, maybe even longer. I don't even know just how many hours I sunk. So I like burned out on Animal Crossing, and I didn't really check out the other titles until the pandemic hit this year, and the new Animal Crossing came out, and it was like all those memories again. It's just like what you said, like where I was like, oh, I can't. I remember. I think I was in high school at the time, right? When the first Animal Crossing came out. What year is it? Do you know?
2002.
2002. So yeah, so I was just graduating high school or just going into college, right? And I remember being like, no, I can't do anything this Saturday night. Or, all right, let's go out. But if we can't make like an 8 o'clock movie, then I'm not going to go out.
Yeah.
Because KK's only till 11:59. And if I'm not home by 10 or 10:30, then I'm just not going out tonight. And it was that crazy. And it'll be like, oh, I have to do this because this season or this event. And like, but I was stuck at home this year. So it was the same thing. Like it was, and all those like memories came flooding back. So this was like the second one I deep dive and kind of like fell in love with the series.
Yes. Go ahead.
And that's what I love about Wild World. Because it was for the DS, it was portable. So no longer did I have that problem. And one of my favorite things about video games is portability.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I think handhelds are my favorite.
That's why the Switch is amazing.
Yes, the Switch is amazing. I'm playing. Oh, gotta take a dump. Take it home. Take it to the bathroom. So I love that. But portability is one of my favorite components when it comes to video games. Mm-hmm. So that's why handhelds are my favorite. And just the fact that I was able to, all right, now I don't mind. My schedule doesn't necessarily revolve around KK on Saturday night.
Right,
anymore,
exactly.
I can just open it up.
Mm-hmm.
That was a game changer for me. But to me, the best one is the one for the GameCube.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I even went back, though, after this one came out. And like for $15, I picked up New Leaf on 3DS. And I started playing that one. Yeah. And so that one's a good one, too.
Yeah. I was playing Pocket Camp for a while because I kind of waiting for New Horizons to come out. And it wasn't the same, but
yeah, I definitely feel like with Animal Crossing. I mean, I was a casual. I wasn't like as invested. For some reason, as a kid, I didn't like playing age-appropriate games. I don't know why.
You were edgy.
Yeah, but I feel like Animal Crossing is one of those games that, even though you may not be quote unquote a gamer, that game still attracted a lot of people to it. Like I remember your sister, she wasn't like huge into games. Yeah. But I remember she spent a lot of time on that one, especially recently now. Yeah. As an adult too. And I have a lot of friends that they bought Switches for that game.
Yeah.
And I bought a second Switch for that game. me and my wife, we opened up the island and I was the what's the title of the person? The resident representative, right? And then she's like, "Oh, there's a bunch of stuff I can't do," and I was like, "I'm sorry." And then she's like, "I have all these ideas for the island." I'm like, "We need another copy of this game. We need another Switch." We literally bought another Switch for that same reason. Another copy of the game.
You must have gotten it before they got like scarce.
Okay, well, actually, what had happened was the truth was that we bought when did Sword and Shield come out? That was before, right?
Yeah, before.
So I actually bought a second one knowing we would need a second one to play, but we had to buy a second copy of the game, which I did not anticipate because I didn't realize about the resident representative and all that.
Yeah.
I didn't think we need a whole other island. I was like, oh, we'll share an island. We share 2 islands now. We both play on each other's island to support each other. But yeah, we have the 2 Switches with the two separate copies of the game.
Commitment.
Yeah.
What about you, Gabe? What do you have next on your list?
On my list next, I have Soul Calibur.
Ooh.
Sega Dreamcast. This game was another one that was pretty influential, especially when I was a kid. A lot of people tend to gravitate towards Street Fighter or Tekken in those series, but for me, like Soul Calibur is just that game. My main was Killick, and then next up Cervantes. Like those games for me, like that was a lot of fun, and that's partly because, or mainly because, that was a game that was another social type aspect. It was my dad's friends that would come over and play, and these were like adults, and so I got used to like hanging out with like kind of older people and just playing that as a kid, like just seeing the little animations on the little controllers. It completed an experience for me that, I mean, it carried on into the next, because I love a lot of like the ones that followed. So Calibur 2 especially is up there for me as well. And obviously, like once they start introducing like Link and Yoda and Vader, that like it brought something that I was like, man, this is so much fun. Like being such a huge Star Wars fans and fans of other titles like that, it was something that I truly enjoyed as a kid and still carry out with me to this day.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 2 just barely made my list. It hurt me so much to keep it out of the top 5 because it's the same thing. Like it was just endless multiplayer, and then the way that series progressed. Soul Calibur 2, I think you're right, is the apex of it. 3 is awesome with Vader and Yoda and Starkiller, but 2 with Link on the GameCube, with Spawn and Hayachi on other platforms is awesome too. But that specifically the GameCube version that we might never get again. I'm like, I pray to the gaming deities that we could get like a Switch exclusive re-release of Soul Calibur 2 with Link again. But just being able to put him in that world, wow, what an amazing experience. And that kind of brings me to my next title, which is powered by that love of the Legend of Zelda series. And this is a very difficult pick for me because it's such a recent game. And I think it beat out the rest of the games in the series. And it beat out what was like my favorite game of all time. It may be my favorite game of all time now. And it's so new. And that's so hard for me to admit. Yeah. That like, because usually I make the best ever, like have to pass the test of time. But that game is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I agree with you.
Yeah. It's basically Red Dead Zelda. And like, I didn't think Red Dead could get better, but if you put it in Hyrule, like
without the guns,
yeah, without the gun. Oh,
cowboy hats.
Well, they got some lasers. They got lasers, you know.
Not from you,
but there's lasers shooting at you. But yeah, I mean, you got your crossbow. Like your crossbow is your gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just wow, what an amazing game. It looks great. Like I think it pushes the limits of the Switch hardware.
Yeah.
Just that open world aspect. You notice most of my top 5s are open world games. And like it was that one missing component that I think the Zelda games, I love them to death, but open world Zelda, it was like a dream come true. And it was one that I didn't even knew I had, that it was a dream that I wanted fulfilled because I never imagined it. I never imagined that series going in that direction. It's so different from the other games. Yeah, it's amazing.
I agree with you. I think Breath of the Wild might be the best Zelda game. I also have a Zelda game. Well, 2 Zelda games on my list next. But I agree with you. 2 because I can't pick. You get me?
Yeah, I understand.
But I agree with you that
should have just said The Legend of Zelda. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I do that.
No, you can't do that. I can't cheat. I can't.
Go ahead.
But I agree with you. Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game. I love it. It's amazing. I'm glad I was. what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was alive. Like, throughout the history of the whole world, I was born when Breath of the Wild came out.
Yeah. I mean, well, also, I was between jobs in the sense that I left one school to start another school, and it came out right before the summer. So I was like, okay, I have a whole new thing that I have to start, and I'm done with everything I was doing at the other school. So I literally have nothing to think about this summer. 250 hours in The Legend of Zelda, and I played it with my wife in the sense that we like took turns playing it, and it's just so gorgeous and immersive that I don't even mind just watching somebody else play it.
Yeah.
know?
But yeah, so for me, on my list, I have Ocarina of Time. It used to be my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah, same.
I used to think it was the best Zelda game until Breath of the Wild came out.
Yeah.
But it's actually a game that I grew up watching my brother play.
Mm-hmm.
And
I also grew up watching your brother.
Yeah, I think that's what got me into video games, just watching my brother play video games. Like, I didn't like playing. Not that I didn't like playing. I would rather watch him play. And I just got into it. And then the other one for me, the other Zelda title is Minish Cap, because that was the first Zelda game that I ever beat.
Okay.
So I felt like, man, what an accomplishment. Like, it made me feel like my brother who I looked up to. I'm like, man, I'm just like Pawn. I beat it. I beat a Zelda game, and I loved it.
You know, now it's my time for my confession. I've never played the Minish Cap.
That's on you, bro.
Yeah, I fell off from that handheld era. So like the Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks,
Yeah.
What's the other? Phantom Hourglass. They're just sitting on my Wii U, like as downloadable games. But I haven't. Like
I didn't play the last. I played Minish Cap, but I didn't play the last.
I mean, I've heard they're all great. I know they're masterpieces, but I haven't experienced them. It's funny what you said about watching your older brother play. Watching your older siblings or like better friends play was like the original Twitch streams.
Yeah.
Like,
I could honestly, with this generation watching Twitch, like, to me, does it make sense a little bit? But like it's just weird because I enjoy watching my brother play. I don't enjoy watching everyone play.
Right, I agree. I think maybe this like the societal aspect. Maybe they feel about those people the way we feel about our friends.
Yeah, it could be.
Our actual human, like in real life. But
like I can watch.
It's hard for me to connect.
Yeah, like I honestly, so one thing I've noticed that a lot of both of you in the games that you guys picked, there's a lot of the social aspect of it. That's what you guys like about it.
Yeah.
That's an aspect I don't like about video games, and that is because my brother ruined video games for me.
Okay.
He's so good at them, and growing up not being able to beat him always frustrated me. And,
I can see that.
And to make things worse, he would like talk crap about, like, talk trash the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I get so mad. So it got to the point where I just played games, like single player games.
That's interesting. Now that you mention it, comparing our list.
Like, think about it. Look, Stardew Valley, Red Dead, Animal Crossing, Zelda, all single player games.
Yeah.
Because I don't like playing with people because I'm scared they're gonna ruin it for me.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy like Rock Band, and
right.
I enjoyed the LAN parties of Halo, and I enjoyed Call of Duty until my brother ruined it for me.
Yeah. Well, see, also what I like about gaming is the cooperative aspect. Like, I'm a big fan, especially now that I'm married. It was like, it's hard to put in like professional life and married life and gaming, like where you squeeze it in. So I have to like gravitate towards those games. Which ones can I like convince my wife to play with me? You know? So it's like, that's why I love Nintendo, because they always, I mean, so many times they include those like cooperative modes, like whether it's Let's Go Pikachu, or it's Luigi's Mansion, or Super Mario Brothers, or New Mario Brothers. There's a second player aspect, and some of them are simple, but at least it's there. I can play them with my niece, so I use that as an excuse. That's like bonding time. Or I can play them with my wife. We'll take turns being the primary player, and it's okay for me to just be supporting in the supporting role, because it, like you said, the joy that it brings. It brings me joy to see someone else enjoying playing the game. So that's why I'm a big fan of Nintendo. And like Breath of the Wild, I just watch my wife play it. Like, and when it got hard, then I get to take it, and I get to take on the challenge. So,
what about you, Gabe? What's your next game?
I think the social aspect. I mean, continuing on that trend, for me, I think when I was around that, like younger, like around the time I started playing Halo and stuff like that, when I started transitioning actually into consoles, there was one game that kept me on PC, and that was Star Wars Galaxies. Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, I was obsessed with Star Wars first and foremost as growing up as a kid. My dad had all the toys and all that stuff, And my dad was a huge PC gamer, still is. And he had this game. He brought me one day. He brought me to the house, and he's just like, "Hey, I have this game. I want you to try out. I want to play it together, see if you like it." And that game was Star Wars Galaxies. And we started. You have to create your character. You have to pick what you want to do. I'm obviously going to be a Jedi because who's not? If you're going to be Bounty Hunter too, that's obviously it's definitely. But for me, it was a Jedi. That was a no-brainer. And you start off. You have to train. You have to train as a Jedi, and then you go on this quest. You have to kind of build a ship. And if my dad already had experience in the game, he already had built up his own ships, his own. He had his friends. He had a guild, and basically they would help us so I can level up faster. Mm-hmm. So we would take the ship, and I'd have to complete the different quests. And I remember one of the huge quests that I remember was building your own lightsaber.
Right.
You have to go to, I believe it was Elam, to find the kyber crystal.
Yeah.
And you have to find the different parts for the lightsaber, for the hilt, and then once you ignite the blade, that was a special moment. Rivaled only, I think, by going to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Making it
yourself and igniting it for the first time, and that threw me back to when I was a kid playing that with my dad and all of our friends on that guild in the chat, and it was for me such an immersive experience and probably one of my favorite games of all times. Mostly just for the social aspect, obviously with my dad, but also with the world of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And just so many different quests, so many things that you have to do. It was huge, building your own ships, and you had so much freedom and to be creative and kind of just go build your own path in the galaxy far, far away. That for me was incredible. And that's why that one comes up on my list.
I'm jealous of that experience because I never played Galaxies primarily by choice because I'm not allowed to play MMORPGs because it's kind of a rule that I have. I never have because I know I will get sucked into it. I know I will lose my life, probably my job, my relationships. So I did. It came and it went, and I've heard it was awesome. I saw your father play, and I know that's good. It's funny that a Star Wars game didn't make my top 5, and I have such a rich history with Star Wars games. I guess if they were honorable mention, Shadows of the Empire for the N64. I remember I drove over an hour to get my first Nintendo 64 games, and Shadow of the Empire was one of them, and Mario 64 was the other one, and I was super excited. That night of Christmas, I got it, and no games, and I had to wait 24 hours just staring at this box, plugging it in and not being able to put anything into it. So Shadows of the Empire. GameCube had the Rogue Squadron games. Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. I played them on Xbox. Just so many games. Fallen Order nowadays.
I love Fallen Order. I recently beat it.
Yeah, and now they've re-released limited run games. Re-released old Star Wars games for the Switch physically, and I was Jedi Outcast, Episode 1 Racer, the only good thing to come out of Episode 1. So I love Star Wars games. But the last game on my list is what I consider one of the best games of all time, and it's one that I play, I think, almost every year, because that's probably about as often as Nintendo re-releases it. That's Super Mario World. And I buy it every time, and I play it every time, because this game was the first game that came with my Super Nintendo, and it was in a time where we did not have a lot growing up during this time, and that was my first console, the Super Nintendo. I didn't grow up with the NES. My brothers all pitched in and bought us a Super Nintendo, and I played this game for hundreds of hours. It took me months to beat this game, and my cousin would play it, my older sister would play it. They'd stay up at night late, and I'd pretend to be sleeping because the SNES was in my room, but I'd be watching them play it. And it's funny now because now I boot it up and I beat it like in one day. You can beat it in like 45 minutes if you try hard enough. I mean, I'm not that great of a gamer, but I can beat it in like 30 to 45 minutes. But this game was like all encompassing, and for a long time it was my favorite game of all time. Super Mario World. I will buy it and I will play it every time Nintendo has me. Just directly into my veins.
Class. Yeah.
For me, my last game, like I said, I grew up watching my brother play video games. So for the longest, we had an N64. I really didn't touch it. I just watched him play video games. Perfect Dark.
Oh yeah.
Mario, all that stuff. In fact, I would make him buy games, like rent games from Blockbuster, and beat them for me, because I just wanted to watch him play. But it got to the point where my parents ended up buying me my own video game, and that was, I remember, December 25th, 1999. I got up. It was a Saturday, and I heard something moving. I'm like, oh, Santa's here. The 6-year-old me was excited, so I went to go see what it was, and it was my mom, and she was coming. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing?
Did you see Santa?
Did you see Santa too as well? Like, did you hear something? Not knowing that I had caught her. But she played it off well. She was like, oh no, I heard a noise here. Look, there's something under the Christmas tree for you. And I see it, there's a box. I'm like, I wonder what this is. And I open it, and it's a Game Boy Color Yellow Pikachu edition with the game Pokemon Yellow.
Oh.
And that was like my first video game console as well,
System.
System, because it belonged to me. Like, my brother had the N64, now I had this, and I just loved that game so much. I was so happy when I got it, because I also loved, that was at the time when Pokemon the anime was coming out, so I was watching it and now playing this, and man, it made me really feel like a Pokemon trainer. But then it got really hard because I was 6. Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to know that you get cut by going to SSN and then going? So I didn't know anything about that. So what did I do?
You have to buy the book.
Yeah, I did buy the book. I know you buy the book. So what did I do? I went to my brother. And I watched him beat the game, like beat that, help me out. And when it got to the Elite Four, I'm like, here you go, bro. I can't beat this guy. That's all you again. And then when it came to capturing Mewtwo, I'm like, here you go. It's all, not knowing that the Master Ball would just capture.
Yeah. That.
But yeah, so that is my favorite game of all time. It's mostly nostalgia, and just reminds me of, man, I finally have something that was mine.
Yeah. I had a similar sort of situation with this game that I did with Animal Crossing. I played the original Pokemon when it came out. It was Red and Blue here in the States, right? And we had both versions, so I played both of them, and so I basically played the same game twice, right? And then Yellow came out, and I bought it again. So I basically beat this game three times. And at this point, I was just like, all right, I'm done with this game. So I like drifted off, and I didn't get back into Pokemon until recently. But it was funny what you mentioned about like getting stuck in the place. There's like Quest 64 is that game that I never got to beat because I got stuck in some dungeon. I didn't have enough items to pass through to survive a certain part. And this is like my millennial rant that like this generation has it so good because they have like walkthroughs online. You can just Google. Speedrun. Back then, you used to have to buy like a $20 book on top of the price of the game in order. And I did for some of like, because they really had like trade secrets, things you'd never figure out on your own, like what order to do something and like where to get all the rupee pieces, all the hard pieces and all that, that it takes several, walkthroughs to be able to figure out for yourself. But now it's just all there. But I remember just playing and reading like side by side.
Yeah, nowadays it's just solutions, your answers. You have it right there. Back there it's just frustration, rage, like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I try not to do that. I try to like beat it as much as possible, and if I can't, all right.
Well, that's what it was.
I'll go to YouTube if I have to.
Right. But it's so easy to go find the answer. Back then, you really were like, I'm not going to get a book. It costs so much money. It could be another game. Mm-hmm. So you'd be like, I'm going to try. I'm going to figure out. Unless it was a game that was just so complex that you really did get so much out of the book, like lore and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so actually I think it's funny when you mentioned your story about Christmas and waking up and getting that game on Christmas was because one of the games that I got that I asked for a while for Christmas was Lord of the Rings: Return of the King for the SP. And
you had an SP?
Yeah, I had a blue SP.
That's the one console I never got to have because I could never find one.
Really? I feel like we had like 18.
Yeah, you might find one in like my
there's one
brother's
right
room.
now, but my old one is there.
Like,
I might take it.
Yeah, and so with that was kind of like the first handheld that I had, because the Game Boy Colors I just borrowed it from you guys. That's how I played it. But the SP was like my own my handheld console. And so when I asked for this game, Return of the King, the way that my mom I never quite really believed in Santa. I don't know why. They never really played into it, but I remember asking for this game, and they did their Christmas shopping really early. So what was happening was this was like 2 weeks before Christmas, and the presents were already there.
Right.
And I remember my mom would go to work, and I kind of cheated. I went towards the gifts, and I opened the gift in such a way that I can close it back. Yeah. Like I just gently remove the tape.
Oh, this isn't just normal every year growing up? That's what I did.
No, this is like probably the first time. I'm trying to remember another one, but this is the first time where I went in, I took it, and I would play. It was the SP and the game. And so I had to do both of them. And I would play the game the whole entire day. And my mom would come back before probably half an hour before she'd get back. I'd put it back in. And that's one of I just felt so sneaky doing that, but it just elevated the experience for me. And so on that same note, those type of games like Lord of the Rings, that medieval style of the game, that brings me to my last game, which is actually really recent, is The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 was a game that
it's no longer on Game Pass.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
They have it on sale all the time.
Yeah, because it's a really good game.
I think I paid $5 for it. They've also given it away for gold.
Buy it right now.
Yeah.
So The Witcher 3 was just one of those games that I heard a lot about. It had a lot of heavy praise. It won Game of the Year. There was just so many people talking about it. And I just put it off because I was like, oh man, it's so overhyped. And then eventually it was on Game Pass. And I played it. And it was so long. There was so much to do. But I had time. At that point in time, I had a lot of time to give. And just how big the world is, the characters, the story, the different side quests and missions you have to do, that was just so different for me. Kind of because I felt that attachment to the Lord of the Rings game.
Right.
They were so kind of constricted, kind of you couldn't do a lot. So when I come to a game like The Witcher, that was awesome. It was like sneaking around during Christmas and taking that game out and playing it all day, which was happening multiple days because the game is so long, but worth it.
Yeah, I haven't played this, and I hear nothing but great things about it. But it's I'm kind of a fake gamer nowadays, i.e., adult gamer, where I'm all these long form titles, I don't have the time to sink them in, so I have to avoid them, even though I know they're great, because I know that either I'm not going to finish them, I'm not going to get too far into them. I have Cyberpunk, and I'm waiting to move through it, but it's so daunting. And I have games like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I haven't played them because I know that it's you kind of need a part-time job to complete them and complete them. And I can't, but I've heard great things.
Yeah, I gotta buy it. I just saw that it's on sale right now, $7.99. And I think I have a Microsoft gift card, so I might do that tonight. Really quick, we're the summer, so some people have time to play video games. So what game in your list would you recommend for our listeners to play? I'll start. For me, if you haven't done it, Stardew Valley, check it out. It's adorable. You'll love it. And it's one of my favorite games. So I know you, if you're like me who likes adorable games, pixelated games, it's just for you. What about you, Gabe?
Star Wars Galaxies. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you play?
I wish. No, you
No,
can't.
okay.
You can't.
Yeah. The game I would recommend is definitely going to be The Witcher 3.
The Witcher 3?
All right. I guess I'm going to go back to the beginning of my list. If you haven't played this game, Burnout Paradise. I've bought it for every system it's been released on. The remastered version is great. If you have a Nintendo Switch, it's on sale often, but either way, it's worth, I think it's like $30 retail now. I bought it for like 10 or 15 just the other day. And I remember asking my brother-in-law, should I get this game? Because like I already have it on Xbox. And they're like, no, you're not gonna play it on Switch. And I was like, I don't care what you think. And then I just bought it on the spot. And I will make the time for it at some point because it's the handheld experience. You know, Burnout Paradise, if you haven't played it.
Yeah, just don't play it around me. One more thing, really quick. I just want to know, what's your favorite video game console of all time? Just, for me, Game Boy Advance.
My Game Boy Advance was my first handheld, I'm pretty sure. I saved up my own money to get it, and I went and I bought one. And like me and my brother bought one together. And we became so obsessed with it that we saved up to buy a second one.
Is that your favorite?
No, I just wanted to comment on yours, but but just wow, the Game Boy Advance, it brings back so much memories.
I think that's a hard question, but I think I'm gonna have to go with 360.
Okay.
Yeah.
360, like there's just that was like I was in high school during that time, and I had so much time between playing soccer, and then that's when I got into FIFA. That's when I got into a lot of sports games and Call of Duty and all that stuff too. For me, I think it has to be 360, especially with Rock Band as well.
Right.
That was such a huge time for gaming, for me at least.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any Red Rings issues?
Twice?
Yeah. I think my first one, because I always wait a couple of years before I jump in. I think my first one was like the 360 Elite, the black one. So I know the first 360 I had in my life was Link's brother. And so he had the Red Rings, but I never had it. So I really had like a flawless experience. I never had any problems. So I love the 360. But man, I think if I had to choose one system, GameCube's close. GameCube's really close. But Sega Dreamcast was my favorite system. I bought this.
Crazy Taxi, man.
Yes, Soul Calibur, Vampire Warrior. You know,
What was that game?
Cannon Spike, Power Stone,
Revolution.
Jet Set Radio. Just so many great games, and I bought this system for $50 off of a friend. He's like, I have a Dreamcast. There's nothing to play on it. I'm like, give me. And then months, like just a few weeks or months after that, they discontinued the Dreamcast, and then all of the games plummeted in price. I bought up everything. Then I found out how to mod my first system. Then I started importing games. I got Fire Pro Wrestling. And I had to download from the internet every menu, like everything that you did in the game, because the whole game was in Japanese, and I had to download like every menu and follow it on paper to choose stuff. But just the Sega Dreamcast, I had like every game for it. It was amazing. It was the first time that like the system was more powerful than the arcade, and it was really
that one had Sonic Adventure, right?
Yeah, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2,
Okay.
Shenmue.
Okay. No, I'm not gonna change, but it's like A and B. Right?
Yeah. All right.
No, mine was a Game Boy Advance because after so many years of playing Game Boy, like because it was square, it would leave Jesus marks on your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas
Stigmata.
Yeah. Whereas Advance it was curved, so it was beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
And then they went back to the Switch. I mean the SP, and then like, oh, that hurts. And then and then the micro. That's what I thought. You said SP. Yes, I thought you meant micro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody got the
Yeah,
micro.
no one got the
A
micro.
friend of mine had
No,
a friend of mine had the micro, and I was like, I'll play it, and I played it like.
No, yeah. I have a yeah. You did get the SP, okay. But the micro one, yeah, I thought no one ever got it.
Yeah, no, I don't. Very few people. Did.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. Well, that ends our show for today. We hope to see you guys next week when we talk about our top 5 shows of all time.
I mean, yeah, basically.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right, guys, well, have a good day and see you next week.
And until then, keep on searching.